Oh my God. Oh, oh my God. Am I live now? Am I live? What on earth has happened here? What is going on? Am I actually live? Yeah. If I, oh my God. If I am live, then I apologize because what is this? Am I actually live right now? Do you know what? Let me just tell you. I have had the most horrendous. I've spent hours trying to get this thing up. Things weren't connected. Oh my God, did you hear me swearing? I wonder if that was part of it. I can see myself, but I'm delayed. Can anyone let me know if you can see me now? And look, you can see, look, I'm eating. Oh my God, everything is delayed. Let me just write here. I can't believe this. I'm live now. Oh my God. Right. Okay. So I'm live. You know, but there's this big delay. All right. You know what? Let's just minimize this because there's a delay. This meeting is being live streamed. But I can hear myself now. Holy Jesus. All right. Okay. Give me a moment, folks, to get myself together because I can hear myself. And you know what I'm going to do is, you know what, I'm going to close this because now I can actually hear myself. So let's just leave that. I've closed that bit off. Hopefully I'm still live on YouTube. I can't see the chat, but I couldn't deal with seeing myself and the delay. Anyway, well, welcome, folks. I mean, that was bloody crazy. You know what? Let's just get in with it. This was supposed to be a private video for members, yeah. And I've got Kevin McCarthy's chart up. I typical Mercury retrograde. I have spent the last 3 hours trying to get all of this stuff to work. And eventually it has. And I had so much frustration when I was clicking, I was doing unlisted live. And now look at that. Now we're live. So let's just dive straight into the show. I can see people having a good giggle in the comments. And you know what? Have a good giggle. I'm looking at my battery charge and I think I've got enough time. I'm going to share my screen with you. And I've looked up, this was just supposed to just be a quickie, by the way, like a little half-hour doodahs. Let's do, where is it? Let's share screen and we'll get stuck in. As I've been saying before, with each Mercury retrograde, each year I get older, they just seem to get worse and worse. But I thought, as I am in Gran Canaria and trying new things, I've never done sort of like a Zoom, because most of the time it's StreamYard, isn't it? When you've seen me or me and Lena and Lady G, it's been on StreamYard. Now I'm doing it on Zoom because I wanted to be able to basically, look, share the screen with you. Now I've clicked off of the YouTube because I was hearing myself and it was a bit of a distraction. So I can't see the live chat or anything like that. There was too much of a delay. But at least now you can see the screen. So I'm just going to literally fly in here now that I know that I am live. Next time, members, apologies. You will get the one that is sort of like directly to you, but here I am, you know, basically out here in public looking at McCarthy's chart. So what the question was really is, will he make it? Yeah. Will he last? Now, here's McCarthy's chart. Now, I want this part to disappear. There we go. So McCarthy was born on the 26th of January 1965. So he's got a birthday coming up. Let me just double check that I still have, let's just see here, because I did pull up his details. I want to make sure that I got it right. Oh, typical. Can't see the blooming page now. Here we are. Let me just see if it's on one of the, oh, look, let me just get my internet back on. Anyway, let's just go with that. Let's just go with that. That's what I put in. Now, straight off the bat, Kevin McCarthy is a Taurus rising according to Vedic astrology. I still can't believe that I'm actually live to the public now, but whatever, let's just go with it. Now, what is interesting here is, if you see over here, he has Rahu in the first house. Now, remember, what's my nickname for Rahu, yeah? My nickname for Rahu is that, you know, he's the head without the body, yeah? But my nickname for him is what? Gobble, gobble, yeah? Now, Rahu has many incredible qualities, yeah? Rahu expands things. Rahu loves the exotic, the new, the novel. Rahu shows the manifest point of destiny that we're supposed to go in this lifetime. And, you know, and the nodes of the moon, you know, they have their qualities. However, the shadow of Rahu, particularly when Rahu is in the first house, it can deal with lying, yes, lying or shortcuts, mishigas, you know, being up to naughtiness, you know, stuff like that. Now, of course, we're talking about Kevin McCarthy here, so you know, let's just say, particularly with what's going on with the old GOP right now, is tantamount very much to really Rahu. Now, this is why Rahu is associated with politics. Now, you see here he is, Taurus rising at 11 degrees 23 minutes. If we look over here, we see where it says LG, that means Lagna, and it's in the nakshatra, which is called Rohini. Now, this is in the middle of Taurus, and it actually deals with the most sensuous part of Taurus as well. Taurus is about tangible assets, values, food, fruits, vegetables, literally, quite literally that. Can also deal with Gaia. So for many people, actually, when I'm talking with, when I'm doing consultations for people as well, I refer to Taurus as the Gaia portion. But the shadow of Taurus can be excessive stubbornness and materialism. Now, obviously, we've seen McCarthy's stubbornness in full effect because, you know, what is it? He faced 15 no votes and just held on. Yeah, held on. But remember as well, Taurus is about values. So Rahu is about politics. Yeah, many people who are prominent in politics have a strong or significant Rahu. And here we see here, this is the case for Kevin McCarthy. Rahu does very well in earth signs and air signs. So here he is in Taurus. Why does he love being in Taurus in particular? Because he is the head without the body, and gobble gobble can eat, in theory, as much as he likes. But it can also be excessive, over the top, too much of a thirst for something. This is why Rahu also deals with addictions. And what we've basically seen very, very clearly over the last few days is basically McCarthy's insatiable desire to have what? The gavel. And for that, we've seen him compromise on what? Values. Yeah, on values. And again, I'll say this for entertainment purposes only. So what has he sacrificed in order to become leader? An awful lot. But here we can see that stubborn determination, that almost overwhelming desire, that addiction. Rahu loves status, material achievements, fame. Yeah, this is one of the things. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. Everyone likes a little bit of fame or what have you. Well, maybe not everyone. But here it can show that it can become excessive. Particularly as well, if we look here now, his rising sign, this part here, 11 degrees 23 minutes in Rohini, which is the most sensual part of Taurus, but the Rahu, his Rahu at 28 degrees 51 minutes, is actually sitting in a nakshatra called Mrigashira. Now, the symbol for Mrigashira is the deer's head. It's associated with deer, with movement, but also it deals with the search for beauty. Yeah. It's associated with the start of searching, Bellatrix. If Rahu is here, and Rahu can represent an excessive or even an addictive quality in a person, here it could mean what? He has been what? On this excessive, persistent, stubborn, and relentless search for what? Being the speaker. Now, eventually, of course, you know, his wish has been granted, but what has he had to compromise in order to get it? Also, as well, sometimes as well, not even sometimes, when Rahu is in the first house, particularly when a person's young, they may struggle for their sense of identity. Yeah, and this is not a criticism or whatever. This is just an energy. And if you think about it, what is it that they've been saying about Kevin McCarthy in terms of commentary and stuff like that? They're saying, who is he? Who is he really? What are his values? Yeah, there's still a big question mark there. And looking at from this position, I would say, you know, he may not be potentially sure. I would say it's pretty much going to the highest bidder or whoever's going to give him his material desires. Yeah, so here this Rahu is very strong, and I would say even a little bit over the top, and it's got this constant thirst and search, yeah, for beauty or what have you. I wonder what you guys are writing in the comments, because I can't see. I can only go on the screen, and it says I'm still live, so fingers crossed. Yeah, it all works out. Mercury retrograde, folks. Anyway, so if we look over here, just for people that are wondering, we are looking at the South Indian style chart, and here this is where the planets go clockwise. Yeah, they go clockwise. Rahu and Ketu are always at anti-clockwise. What you're seeing here is Kevin McCarthy's planetary positions at the time of his birth. Yeah, so when he was born on the 26th of January 1965, and it was in, let me just put here, if I put here, actually do we actually need, you know what have I done? Oh, never mind. I've made myself vanish. Can't see myself now. There we are. Screen sharing is paused. Why did I do that? Oh, for heaven's sake. Mercury retrograde. Right, let's just stop share. Come back. I shouldn't click anything. I shouldn't click anything. Let's click share again. Go on Kevin McCarthy's chart. And we'll leave it there. And I'm not going to click any more buttons. But anyway, we've got his birthday. Now, with people in politics, there's certain things that we need to look at. And believe it or not, the fourth house can actually have quite a lot to do. Let's get that to go back up. The fourth house can actually have quite a lot to do with politics because it deals with the homeland. Yeah, it also deals with the heart chakra, but it deals with education. It deals with the past, history. It deals with luxuries. It also deals with the mother. Yeah, it can have associations with the mother. Let's see if I just want this little tab thing to disappear. There we go. Now, let's just count round. We'll do simple maths. You always count from the house or the planet if you're looking to establish a distance from something. So here we are. Here's the first house, which deals with the body, yeah, the personality, how we come across, pardon me, our first impressions, etc., stuff like that. In Vedic astrology as well, the 12 houses also represent the birthing process. So the first house also represents the top of the head and then what comes out next, the face, yeah? So the first house is always associated as well with Aries, that too. The natural second house deals with Taurus, which is the second sign from the eyebrows down to the neck. Gemini, shoulders, arms, etc., all the way around till we reach the 12th house, which is associated with the feet. Now here, of course, McCarthy is Taurus rising. So, you know, you count from that. But the first house will always have a little bit of the flavor of Aries. Anyway, let's count from here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, McCarthy has got a really quite a challenging combination here. Now, this combination is relatively common in people born in a certain age group, particularly those kind of like born sort of like towards the back end of the 50s, going into the 60s. There is this Uranus and Pluto combination. Now, if you look here, the sign is Leo, and Leo is all about leadership. Yeah, many people associate Leo with creativity, lights, camera, action. Yeah, all of this stuff. Now, there is a truth to this. Leo is a very creative sign, but there is more. Especially when I'm talking with my clients, Leo means to manage a kingdom. That's what it really means. It can mean responsibilities of all kinds. The fourth house also not only deals with the mother, it also deals with real estate, but it also deals with homeland or motherland. Yeah. Here, there are two planets here, like I said, Uranus and Pluto. So already we see in McCarthy's chart, he already has some of the setup here for an interest in politics or the motherland. But look at the two planets that are here. Uranus and Pluto are very bombastic planets, very bombastic, volatile, and full of energy. Uranus deals with electrical energy in particular, or lightning, because he's the original sky god. But we also need to remember too that Uranus is an eccentric planet, an unusual planet. Very much of what the energy of the GOP is Uranian, also as well, likewise with Donald Trump, etc. Those kind of characters, again, for entertainment purposes only. And it can deal with sudden shocks and surprises, liberation, but also as well deals a lot with rebellion. We need to remember that Uranus has a lot to do with rebellion. It also falls into an angle. The angular houses are 1, 4, 7, and 10. And what it means is any planet in an angle will automatically pick up strength, whether or not it likes that sign or house or not. Yeah, an angle is an angle. Then you've got Dharma and luck houses, which, they deal with Dharma and luck. And those houses are 1, 5, and 9. I feel like I'm giving a consultation here. This is often how I do my consultations with clients. So you can see here, McCarthy's actually got quite a few planets in angular houses. Now, going back to the fourth house, this can be a deeply eccentric combination. Now, look, there are many people that do have this, and it doesn't always manifest in the same way because it could be in a different house. But what's Pluto all about? Pluto is all about power, yeah, control, the underworld, Mishigas, many of those kind of power struggles. Also, as well, the darker side of life. Yeah, it can deal with trafficking, corruption, fascism, all of this stuff. At the moment, I should explain here, where it says TR, that means transits. Yeah, this is where the planets are right now in sidereal astrology, which is equivalent, like NASA would say the same thing. Obviously, in Western tropical, they're 24 degrees ahead. Western astrology still works, but they're looking at a different sign and a different part of the sky. If I were to happen to have, someone from NASA or an astronomer with me, we would actually be looking and be saying, these are the degrees that the planets are in. So we see here, if we look here, Saturn at the moment is at 29 degrees and 2 minutes of sidereal Capricorn, with Venus and with Pluto. Capricorn is associated, it's the sign I refer to as the sign of pressure, deals with government. Yes, Saturn as a planet also deals with government, rules, regulations, laws, along with Jupiter. Yeah, seeing this theme here. Now, something very interesting has happened here with McCarthy in regards to his son, but I don't want to digress too much. Let's just go around a bit in the relevant houses. So the fourth house is also associated with the fourth chakra, the heart. In here, we have this very eccentric combination. I always say houses are like the dining cart on Amtrak. Any of you who've traveled on Amtrak or the trains, you go on that restaurant bit. I adored my time on Amtrak. I went from Chicago, this is in 2019, I went from Chicago all the way through to Seattle. And let me tell you, I heard some stories from people on Amtrak that you would not believe. You meet some of the most wonderful and crazy batshit people on Amtrak, and it is fabulous. And I think it's one of the most underrated things of this aspect of American culture. If I could wave a magic wand, I would be on Amtrak tomorrow. Love it. Anyway, but the point is you have the dining cart, and in the dining cart, you can't necessarily choose who you sit next to because everyone just comes in. It's like that with planets. When planets share houses, no matter how far apart they are, they flavor each other. They influence each other. But the closer they are together, the stronger that influence is, and the more that energy begins to blend. And if we look down here, look at how close Uranus, planet of shocks, surprises, rebellion, even insurrection, we could go as fast to say, is to Pluto, planet of the underworld, corruption, the darkest aspects that humanity is capable of. There is a lighter side, a higher side to Pluto, which deals with transcendence and, I call it X-Men powers. When we lean into our Pluto, when we integrate our shadow, and it strengthens us, it can give a person incredible strength when it's integrated, yeah? Because he's got that nuclear energy. Pluto really represents every single form of energy from flame up to uranium, and beyond. He's got every single aspect in between, but he is associated with plutonic energy. Now, if we look here, his Uranus is at 20 degrees, 51 minutes. Yeah. And look at his Pluto, it's at 22 degrees, 34 minutes. This is what I would call a perfection. Yeah. Whenever you've got planets that are within 1.5 degrees of each other, you can pretty much count them as perfectly conjunct. That means those energies of rebellion, corruption, because we're talking about the shadow here, when we're talking about who, and again, for entertainment purposes only, these energies are blending, But it's not only that, they're blending in the fourth house, which deals with the homeland, the motherland, the heart chakra. Also in the sign of Leo, which means to also what? Manage a kingdom. Leo is very associated with politics because it deals with with leaders. So look, you can see here, he's got a very bombastic and explosive combination here with two planets that are very associated with dynamic energy together, pretty much as twins. Both retrograde. You see where there's the little R here with the cross, which means there can be a more subterranean element there, a bit more of a karmic element there, a bit more of a subconscious element where the person has to work a bit harder to bring out the virtues of that planet. Yeah, bit of a problem, yeah, particularly with the Pluto retrograde. So I think in many ways that actually really, McCarthy has a bit of what I would call an anarchist heart. Yeah, this looks like an anarchist's heart to me. Yeah, very, very, very close. So for all of the theater and all that stuff as well, Leo is also can deal with theater. I think part of this shenanigans that we've been seeing going on is a bigger part of a larger play. Oh my gosh, look, my battery's starting to wear down. Let me speed up. If we look here in his fifth house, he has got Mars. Yeah, he's got Mars in the fifth house. Now, what is fifth house is actually associated with politics, but it deals with giving consultation and advice to others. It also deals with children, intelligence, but it's not just physical children, it also deals with our brain babies as well. Yeah, our brain babies. And here, this is very interesting because Mars is associated with what? War, conflict, arguments, etc. But Mars also has a side that deals with logic, working things out. Can deal with surgeons as well, in particular, even nurses as well. Venus can be nurses, but so can Mars. Mars likes to come in and solve problems. Yeah, get in and get out. Yeah. However, technically, Mars here is in an enemy sign. Why? Allow me a digression. There are friendships between the planets. Sun, Moon, Mars, and Jupiter are all friends, and they all do well in each other's signs, except that Mars technically debilitates in the sign of Cancer, but is yet delighted. Tends to give issues with siblings. Trust me, I know this one. Then Saturn, who I call Balloon Popper, Mercury and Venus, they're all friends and they all do well in each other's signs, except that Venus technically debilitates in the sign of Virgo, which belongs to her best friend Mercury. She's delighted, but not quite as delighted as Mars. Yeah, so we've established that. And then there's neutralities. Jupiter and Saturn are neutral, etc. But I don't have enough time to go into all of the particulars. So, but here we see Mars is technically in an enemy sign. Why? Because Mercury and Mars are not friends. Mercury is kind of neutral to Mars, does okay in his signs, particularly in Scorpio, but Mars does not like being in the signs of Gemini or Virgo. Yeah, causes problems. Mars also represents land and real estate and also represents siblings, but brothers in particular. And what I've found in people's charts, if Mars is in sidereal Virgo, sometimes there can be health issues with the brother, sometimes even past his young. Or maybe he works in the medical profession in terms of the lighter side of it. But the point is this Mars is in an enemy sign, which can mean the Mars may not be as functioning as well as it could do. So if you've got Mars, which is in the house of politics, and Mars, when it's strong, deals with logic, rationale, and working things out, maybe Kevin hasn't really kind of extrapolated the full consequences of all of the power that he has given away. Because the thing is, when Mars is strong, a person is able to negotiate their power effectively. They're able to stand up for themselves, yeah? And they're able to negotiate in a strong and fair way. Some people may find it a bit bullish, but they're going to be logical, they're going to be rational, and they're going to make very effective arguments. Wouldn't surprise me if Nancy Pelosi's Mars was very strong, but you know, I've not seen her chart and stuff like that. But it gives a person the confidence to hold their ground because Mars is holding his little spear, yeah, like this, yeah, the glyph of Mars. Let me just get that for you. You see, look, that's the glyph of Mars with a little spear. So in a way, this spear of McCarthy is blunted. Yeah, it's blunted. And if we look here, if we go back to these two planets here, we look at, they're in the nakshatra where it says PPH. You can see that. That means Purva Falguni. Now, Purva Falguni is a very creative, flamboyant, and extroverted nakshatra. Many creatives and artists and performers have planets or things closely conjunct Purva Falguni. However, the shadow of Purva Falguni can be a lazy streak. Yeah, wanting things easy. Yeah. And then when we look here, this Mars is in the nakshatra, which is called Uttara Falguni, and it's moved over into the Virgo side. Now, the Falgunis are all about friendship, marriage, relationships, doing deals with people. Yeah. Now, isn't it interesting? We've got this uncomfortable Mars here in an enemy sign in the nakshatra called Uttara Falguni, which is all about managing a kingdom. It is that part of Leo and Virgo, which literally deals with that organization, the organizing principle. So here we've got a Mars that's not maybe functioning in its highest dignity. Haven't we just seen that play out? If we look over here in Kevin McCarthy's 6th house and 12th house, we see there's some action here. He's got Neptune in his 6th house. Now, the 6th house deals with health and healing and overcoming obstacles. It deals with, can deal with things like, believe it or not, actually deals with police and military. When you think of the insurrection and all that kind of stuff, police, military, daily commutes, our day job. Yeah, our day job. Neptune has many wonderful qualities, but part of what Neptune is about is that now Neptune, the virtues of Neptune can be transcendence, arts, beauty. He's the higher octave of Venus. The film, photography. My nickname for Neptune is Hollywood. La, 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 la. Yeah. Very much the silver screen. Why do we say the silver screen? Because when photography was being developed, we had to use what? Silver nitrate to what? Project images. So Neptune has the ability to make the unreal appear real. But the shadow of Neptune can be hedonism, drink and drug addiction, gaslighting. Yeah, we all know that one. Gaslighting and illusions and delusions. Isn't that interesting that there's gaslighting, illusions and delusions in McCarthy's 6th house of day job and work? Ooh, yeah. Also as well, what happened? As we know, in the insurrection, all of that craziness happened, but yet he's what? Pretty much denying that stuff. Yeah. After everything, what did he do? He went down to you know where, Mar-a-Lago, and kissed the ring, so to speak. So it shows here that McCarthy is prone to potentially having a kind of a slightly delusional view of his day job, yeah, of his work. And this is a problem because the 6th house is a very practical house. It's supposed to be practical, yeah. And you don't really want Neptune there because one may reach certain conclusions that are not very practical, or one may not fully see the consequences. The 6th house is a logical house. I call it the salad bowl of life. You know, it's not a sexy house at all, but it's very important. And when things go wrong with the 6th house, like when we have health issues or stuff like that, or we're involved in accidents, this is also associated with the 6th house, can be a massive problem. So here there's a problem here of working things out logically, you know, being sensible. Now, look, we've all got Neptune somewhere, which means we all have the ability to delude ourselves somewhere as well. But it also means we also have access to a talent somewhere too. So it seems like for me, when I just look at this Neptune here, particularly as I notice this in the nakshatra called Vishaka, and Vishaka is about the symbol of it is the triumphal arch. And it's about being relentlessly persistent in one's goals. Isn't that interesting that his Neptune is there? So what we have is, when I stitch that together, we can see someone who is relentlessly persistent in terms of their goals, but they may not have a realistic appreciation of what is that they're doing. Yeah. He's gone for it, 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 and what? Given up so much along the way because this Rahu has been rabid, really wanting that status, yeah, wanting that gavel. And we see here a person who's a bit unrealistic in terms of their day job. Also as well, the sign here is Libra. Now, Libra isn't just about balance, yeah? Because we all go, oh, Libra is all about balance. Now, look, there is some truth to this. But I want to show you this. If you look here, this is the glyph for Libra, yeah? The glyph for Libra. Now, Libra actually means three things. Libra is the weighing scales, yeah? The weighing scales of the marketplace. So it means Libra is associated with commerce, discourse, all kinds of deals, yeah? Literally, Libra deals with deal making. You've got something, I've got something, and there's an exchange of goods and services, and hopefully, ideally, a win-win situation, yeah? Counting out the money. You want it to be fair, yeah? One of the other connotations of Libra, which isn't, it's kind of obvious once it's pointed out, but it also deals with the setting sun, yeah? This glyph is also a sunset. This is the only sign in which the sun really kind of struggles quite a lot. He struggles in the sign of, Taurus as well, and Libra, but the main reason why is because Libra is a sunset. However, it's the first 10 degrees of Libra that are most significant. Anyway, this is an astrology lesson. I don't want to digress too much. The third connotation of Libra is legalities. Libra also deals with the law, lawmakers, judges, and lawyers. There you go. I think he's a lawyer, isn't he? But the whole point is the whole context. The law is here, but in Kevin McCarthy's chart, Neptune is influencing his view of legalities, procedures, and the law. Neptune is what? The god of the sea, of the ocean. Neptune is very tidal, can be very lunar in that way. So there is this also as well, one of the qualities of Neptune is fog, yeah? So you can imagine, you put all of that together, there's these foggy perceptions around what? Law and legalities. Bit of a problem, isn't it, when we start stitching all of this together? Now, if we look here, now also as well, this is happening in the sixth house and 12th house. This is also where the eclipses are falling, yeah? Now, to give you an idea of just how significant these nakshatras are. So look here, here's his Jupiter in the nakshatra, which is called Bharani, yeah? Now, this sits within sidereal Aries. Aries is made up of Ashwini, the first nakshatra, of which there are 27, Bharani, and Kritika, yeah, which then bleeds over into Taurus. Now, Bharani, the symbol for Bharani is the yoni, the female reproductive system. Bharani is associated with punishment, trials and tribulations, feeling contained and then breaking through, feeling contained and then breaking through. But to show you the sheer relevance of how much the nakshatras are actually influencing human consciousness, the eclipse season of 2022 The new one started on the 30th of April, 2022. I actually did some videos about it. So if you're curious, look back at my playlist. And what happened was the sun was over here in Bharani and it was an eclipse. Yeah, because if we look, Rahu and Ketu cause the eclipses. You see where it says TR? This is where they are right now. They're about halfway through the sign. They spend 18 months in the sign and they're always going backwards. Yeah. A house is 30 degrees wide, so halfway would be 15 degrees. And we can see here, look, there's Rahu at 16 degrees, 37 minutes, and Ketu is at the same degrees. They're always perfectly opposite, yeah? And they cause the eclipses. Part of the eclipse energy was also uranium, yeah? Because look, here's Uranus here, putting in the flavor. Anyway, going back, so on the 30th of April, 2022, the sun was eclipsed. What does the sun represent? Government as well, leadership, authority figures of all kinds. It was eclipsed in the nakshatra of Bharani. Bharani, as I said before, represents the female reproductive system, the yoni. Guess what happened? Well, we don't have to guess, we know what happened. 2 days after that eclipse, on the 2nd of May, it was leaked that the justices would do what? Overturn Roe versus Wade, which is all about what? The female reproductive system. Eclipses, when the season starts, and we're going to get a new eclipse, I think it's 20th of April. I might have to kind of check that again, but you know, don't quote me on that. 20th of April is the next new season. So we're going to have another reset, yeah? But that set the theme for what? The whole year. What were we talking about all year? What was the political hot button among many other things? Female reproductive system, Bharani, the yoni, yeah? If we look here, his Jupiter, which is the planet of philosophy, ideas, expansion, law, and lawmakers as well, is sitting in this nakshatra. So that means there's times, many times in his life where he's felt contained or punished, or there is a self-punishing aspect, or even sometimes a desire to punish others. And if we look here, he has literally been through what recently? A very punishing journey to become speaker. Took 15 attempts. It was ridiculous. It was really ridiculous. But because his Jupiter is in Aries and his Neptune is in Libra, the eclipses for McCarthy have been falling there since what? April 2022. And he's been through what? This tumultuous time in the seat of politics, etc., and all of that stuff. So isn't that interesting? Anyway, let me quickly move on. How am I doing on time? You know what? I don't even know what, I can't even remember when this actually began because obviously there was a delay. I'm going to keep going. Let's do a few more houses and then I'll wrap this up. All right. If we look at, I hope you're finding it interesting so far. I can't read the comments, but thank you for anyone that's here and supporting and I hope you're enjoying this content. Anyway, and this is very much when I'm with clients and we'll talk about certain things, and planets of people. But anyway, I don't want to digress too much. In his 7th house, he has Moon Ketu combination. And you know what? Oh my God. I've just noticed something. I've just noticed where his Ketu is. You're not going to believe this, guys. Oh my goodness. Anyway, it's got Moon Ketu. Now, Rahu, as you know, I call gobble gobble, yeah? And Ketu I refer to as snip snip, yeah? Ketu is the moksha karka principle, liberation from this world. Doesn't give a toss, yeah? About material things per se. Can be very spiritual when a person their Ketu is strong and they're using it well, can make a person highly intuitive, highly psychic. Yeah, Ketu is brilliant for that. However, Ketu can also cause dissatisfaction. He's like a little whirlpool. He's like a little black hole wherever he is. And when Ketu is with a planet, it can cause dissatisfaction or the withering or the weakening of that planet. Now here it's with the moon. Now, the moon represents the mind overall, our instincts, our childhood, our memories. The moon is like the hard drive that comes with us from lifetime to lifetime. The moon is the egoic self where we actually self-identify. Yeah. So when you're looking at a person's moon, they know that they are them and I am me, for example. There's that. The sun does represent the ego structure, but it's almost the highest purpose of the soul, this lifetime. The sun is very pure and wants to purify and burn away the dross. But the moon is much more subjective. And the moon also represents the mother. So when you've got Ketu with the moon, Rahu or Ketu with the moon can really exaggerate the moon quite a lot and make it very extreme. Again, for entertainment purposes only, I don't know anything about Kevin McCarthy's mother. Oh my gosh, look, my battery's running low. Right, I'm going to have to switch this on here. I'm going to have to change the lighting, folks. Remember, I'm in Spain, so I don't have, oh gosh. I'm obviously using my UK plug. Button myself up. This light is not quite as good, but of course I've got to make sure that the computer doesn't chop out. Mercury retrograde, folks. Anyway, I hope you guys are finding this interesting. So here, so look, Ketu is with the moon. That can actually make the mother very extreme. Yeah, when I see this in people's charts and I ask them, I say, you know, also as well, the moon is in the sign of Scorpio, which is its sign of debilitation. The moon is debilitated, technically debilitated in the sign of Scorpio. And wherever a planet debilitates, it exalts in the opposite sign. So the moon exalts in the sign of Taurus, where she can get all of her needs met. Yeah. The moon is the most sensitive part of the chart. The moon likes to flow. The moon likes to reflect. The moon is like the queen of the chart. The moon likes to sip hot chocolate and be comfortable, have plentiful food and resources and money. Yeah, this is why the moon does very well in Taurus. Now, when someone's got Scorpio moon, it doesn't mean your life's a complete wreck, but it's challenging. It often means that the mother can actually be challenging. And here we've got Ketu adding to that as well. So why is the moon debilitated in the sign of Scorpio? It's because Scorpio is very, very intense. Scorpio wants to get to the depths, wants to get to the bottom of things, but the moon represents the mind. Now, Scorpio can deal with research, getting deep into things, metaphysics, the occult, all of that stuff, astrology, anything that's hidden. Yeah, Scorpio is an incredible sign. However, the shadow is very strong. And when the moon is in the sign of Scorpio, a person can become obsessed with conspiracy theories, stuff like that. Machinations of all kinds, relentlessness, yeah, obsessive thinking. Here you've got Ketu adding even more, and it's in the nakshatra of Jyeshta, which is ruled by the deity here is Indra, king of the gods, and Indra got himself into all sorts of scrapes and pickles because of his unbridled ambitions. He did a lot of foolish things. And also as well, when we look here, do you see it says 28 degrees, 51 minutes. Guess where that sits in a certain person's chart? You've guessed it. Kevin McCarthy's Ketu is exactly, if I remember correctly, pretty much exactly on Duck Larange's moon, which represents what? The mind. Duck Larange also has his moon in Scorpio. They've both got the same combination. Ketu, moon. Is it any wonder then that he went down to Mar-a-Lago to... It means their minds are the same. They're both intense people with a little bit of wacky-backy thrown in. And that's why I said, oh my goodness. What I have found is that these characters, particularly even with Marjorie Taylor Greene as well, similar. I think she's got the same placement. They've got their moon in Scorpio, and it was very close to Trump's moon and his Ketu moon combination. It's extraordinary. It also means as well that McCarthy was also as well probably, let's see, he could have been born on a lunar eclipse or very close. Yeah, eclipses, people born on eclipses can be very extreme. So when we look at that, really, and we've looked, the seventh house also as well is anyone that's not us. It's where we negotiate with others. It's where we have, can deal with our relationships, but it's not just romantic relationships and spouse, it's also business. The seventh house also deals with fame. The moon deals with the public. People who have moon in the seventh house can often be famous, or in this case, infamous. Yeah, with McCarthy, he's an extremely well-known person. We can't deny that. So when we look at his seventh house, anyone that's not us, the house of negotiation, we see it is got exact connotations with Duck L'Orange. Also, as well, when you with the chart of the GOP, again, similar stuff with Duck L'Orange. Now we know that Duck L'Orange is fading a bit from power, but when we look at this combination, is it any wonder that we see what is going on here? We've got these strong nodal, almost lunatic axis, yeah? And there it is. If I look, for example, no, I can't click again, because when I clicked to open file, it went off, but trust me, look back at my Trump videos, look at the degrees that I put there, and we'll see it there. So I hope you guys find that interesting. That's just something that just popped out to me. If we look at his eighth house, what do I call the eighth house? I call it the house of sex, death, and rock and roll. We know this, yeah? If we look here, he's got Mercury and Venus together. Now, this is a beautiful combination, believe it or not, because Mercury and Venus are best friends, yeah? They're like this. They always complement each other. It gives a person a gift for speech. No matter where it is, this combination gives a speech, artistry, and stuff like this. And you'll probably be thinking, oh God, well, he's probably not got any talents or whatever. But look, the guy knows how to talk. Yeah, obviously. We know he doesn't have that many values, but he obviously knows how to communicate, how to talk, etc. Now, the eighth house deals with what? Taboos, corruption. Yeah, the darker side, the underbelly. There are wonderful things with the eighth house, can do with transcendence as well, and Kundalini and all of this kind of stuff, astrology and even things like meditation and transcendence. Yes, there are these qualities. However, though, it is a house of death as well, but it can deal with scandals. It deals a lot with scandals, corruptions, backdoor dealings, every kind of mishegoss that you can think of can also be the eighth house. Also deals with other people's money. So look, he's got this Venus-Mercury combination. And again, look at the degrees. Do you see how close they are? Mercury is at 25 degrees, 15 minutes. And look, Venus is at 24 degrees, 48 minutes. Another perfection. Their energies are completely blended. It's in the eighth house, as I've said, but look at the sign. The sign is Sagittarius. Sagittarius deals a lot with politics. It deals with beliefs. Yeah, beliefs of all kinds. It deals with religion, orthodoxy. It can deal with spirituality as well. But guess what? Part of the shadow of Sagittarius is fanaticism. Yeah. Fanaticism, recklessness, and falling from a great height. Many people don't know this about Sagittarius. So when we look, he's got this quite a dynamic combination here in the eighth house: sex, death, rock and roll, and taboos. In Sagittarius, the sign of politics. I mean, it's all there now, isn't it? Writ large for all of us to see. Extraordinary. If we look here in his ninth house, he's got the sun. Now, what's the sun? The sun represents our divine spark this lifetime. Yeah, that is part of our pure part of the creator. Let's put it that way. Even if you're the most evil person in the world, if you're here, you're going to have a little bit of divine spark in you somewhere. Maybe not much, not necessarily a big flame, you know, it might be a tiny little candle that's about to blow out, but nonetheless, if a person is alive, they do have this thing. We all have a soul, after all. Now, what's interesting here is that the sun here is in Capricorn. Yeah, and Capricorn, as I said, deals with what? Government, top-down structures. Yeah, deals with top-down structures. Infrastructure projects, also deals with big pharma, big companies, impactful things. Also deals with things like professionalism as well. It very much represents the corporate world as well, corporate money. Also as well, big finance. Yeah, big finance. There is actually a financial component to Saturn, which many people overlook. Now, the sun here is technically in an enemy sign. Why? Because there was a falling out between the sun and Saturn. Saturn was effectively the love child of the sun, and there's been a little bit of beef between them since. I can't tell you about the story. It takes too long to go into, but just take my word for it. So Capricorn I refer to as the sign of pressure. Yeah, sign of pressure. Remember I said hierarchies, top-down structures. If we look here, now remember I'm a Neo-Vedic astrologer, so I include the outer planets, I include Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, and I also include Chiron and Ceres. Here is Ceres. Ceres is the Roman name for Demeter. Demeter is the goddess of harvest. Yeah, her original Greek name is Demeter, goddess of harvest, fecundity, fruitfulness, etc. So Ceres deals a lot with devotion, almost like a mother's love to something. It's a strong, strong commitment. In the West, we have quite fluffy connotations of Ceres, but there's more. And what I found is this, because there's certain stuff that's not in the books. I'm sharing some trade secrets with you here. What I found is this, is that actually the energy of Ceres is very sophisticated and actually has a darker side to it. Demeter has a very famous daughter called Persephone. Yeah, many of you might know your Greek astrology and stuff like that. Persephone was what? Abducted and taken into the underworld. And she wasn't allowed back because she ate 3 pomegranate seeds. Anyway, Demeter, her mother, was so distraught. She said, everyone's going to starve. I'm not going to let anything grow until I get my daughter back. Long story short, a deal had to be created and Persephone could spend spring, summer, and fall with her mother. But every winter she had to return back to the underworld where she had become queen. Many people forget that as well about Demeter as well. About Persephone. She became queen of the underworld. What I have found is this. Ceres deals with the matriarchal principle, like the moon, but it can deal with great-grandmother, grandmother, mother, daughter, granddaughter energy, even in men's charts, I kid you not. So here we see Ceres is with the sun. And when we use the dining cart analogy, that means they are influencing each other. Now, of course, if I was a traditional Vedic astrologer, that wouldn't even be there, yeah? You have the tradition, which is over 5,000 years old, and you can still read charts perfectly fine without it. But what I find is that this adds an extra element. Because what I found Ceres means is this. Ceres can also deal with abduction. Persephone was what? Abducted, taken hostage. Isn't it interesting, yeah, how the hostage theme has been discussed a lot? The sun is the kingdom, yeah, a person's kingdom, how they're showing up in the world. Ceres deals with the fear of losing something that we love a great deal, like a child, like Demeter lost her daughter Persephone when she was abducted by Hades, Pluto, yeah, king of the underworld, which in McCarthy's chart is exactly conjunct with Uranus, sudden shocks and surprises. When we put all that together, we see here there is an element here where McCarthy the way I interpret this is he's been so devoted to winning that gavel devoted in many ways, like just like how Demeter was to her daughter Persephone. Demeter searched the earth. She said, nothing will grow until my daughter is returned to me. And when I think of this analogy now, and what's happened over the last few days, now I can actually begin to understand, even on a deeper level, why he has wanted this so much. He has wanted this since what? Since he entered what? Government. Capricorn deals with government. His soul is there. It's in the ninth house. The ninth house deals with things like travel, yeah? Travel and languages and foreign lands and stuff, but it also deals with what? Beliefs, the law and lawmakers. Do you see how it's all stitching together? This was his thing. This is something that he has wanted for a very, very long time. And he has pursued it with the passion of almost a mother's love for her child. That's how much he's wanted that gavel. And you can see he's been prepared to go to hell and back to get it. Yeah, there was almost fisticuffs in the parliament. Do you remember I pulled the Tower card when I was looking at his thingamage in the Tower card? I can't even remember what I said in my video because, you know, the mind just blanks. But I hope you guys are finding that quite interesting. For me, that is compelling. And also as well, the sun here is in a nakshatra called Shravana, which is to do with listening. It means to hear the voice of God, yeah, so to speak. So I think McCarthy believes that this is his God-given birthright to be Speaker of the House, and he probably sees God as giving him his wish, particularly as it's in the ninth house, which deals with what? Religion, philosophies, beliefs, but also as well, the ninth house is relative to the ninth sign Sagittarius, so there can be a fanatical element there as well. Now, if we look here, when we go to his 10th house, now this is really interesting. He's got Saturn in its own sign. Now, McCarthy is upon the cusp of having his second Saturn returns. Now, when I do these, meditations with the planets and all of this kind of stuff, and I tell this a lot to my clients. But anyway, one day I was having a tune in with Saturn, and what I can say is he doesn't say very much, but when he does, his words are very profound. And he said something extraordinary to me probably about 18 months ago now. And we were just having a little backwards and forwards. Anyway, and he said, childhood ends when I return. And then I was like, oh my God, that means we're still children till we're 29. Yeah, it takes Saturn about 29 to 30 years to make one revolution around the sun. Yeah, that's why we call it the Saturn return. It's famous. This is when we're like, oh, what am I doing with my life? Am I going to get married? Do I want to come? Am I going to have kids? What's my career going to be like? At 29, everyone starts anticipating 30 and worrying about it because we no longer are going to have a 2 in front of, our age. Yeah. This stuff is so consistent, it may as well be a law of physics. Everyone goes through this angst, yeah, particularly in their late 20s. When a person's coming up to their second Saturn return, they're going to be in their late 50s, yeah, 58, 59, 60. What happens is that the levels of responsibility and things that we deal with in our life are compounded. For me, the second Saturn return, from what I've found in terms of consultations and stuff like that with clients and everything like that, is the most significant time. Many of my clients are going through this age, and is an incredible time, particularly for women as well, where they often become into their highest function of wisdom, influence, knowledge, understanding, and even magic. Yeah. I'm not saying that McCarthy's coming into a magical time, but he's certainly coming into a time of where he's going to have to shed another layer of childhood, of maturity, having to come into what? A position of responsibility. As the Speaker of the House, this is one of the most responsible positions in the land. It's only third down, isn't it, from President? You've got President, Vice President, then you have the Speaker. So you can see here Look, there's Saturn on at 29 degrees and 2 minutes. McCarthy's Saturn is at 10 degrees 35 minutes. So it's going to be a little ways yet till he has the exact return. At Saturn, obviously, has got to move those 10 degrees. But he is already giving his effects. What I found is this, particularly with Saturn and Jupiter, their gravitational force is so strong they can enter a house before they are physically in it. This is also part of the reasons why we've been seeing like these cold weather events and these wet events and stuff. And I said, well, when Saturn moves into Aquarius, he's going to pull the lever and we're going to have a cold plunge. Well, he's done it already when I was making the video, because he was at 27 degrees of Capricorn at that time. So he was already more than close enough to cause the effect. But anyway, there he is at 29 degrees, 2 minutes. On the 17th of January, 2023, Saturn will officially enter sidereal Aquarius. And McCarthy's Saturn return will officially, second one will officially begin. But we see it's begun already. But from the 17th, it will be bona fide there, yeah? Isn't it interesting? After these trials and tribulations, Bharani, yeah, feeling constrained, feeling held hostage, yeah, with his Pluto and Uranus combination bursting through, finally getting the speakership, he is now coming into a time period in his life of extreme responsibilities. And his karmas that he reaps will depend on how well he does in this job, which is already looking dicey. But look, there is more. You see this thing over here that looks like a key? Those of you that know your astrological glyphs will recognize this as Chiron. Chiron is known as what? The wounded healer. So here, Saturn transiting is about to cross over this. Now let's have a look and see where his Chiron is. Let's have a little look here. Look, his Chiron is at 22 degrees 32 minutes. Yeah, so here on the software, this is Carla software, by the way, which is created by Ernst Wilhelm. I use the sidereal placements, not the tropical. You can overlap the two. Too long to explain, but I use just the pure Vedic, yeah, on this. So you see Saturn's here at 10 degrees 35, but actually the Chiron is a little bit further along. But the point is this: McCarthy, if he chooses to use this in the higher form, then that can bring a transformation and healing, yeah, to Congress and stuff like that. However, if he uses this in the negative form, that means there's going to be heavy, heavy consequences here, because Chiron deals with wounds, yeah? Whenever I'm looking in the D1 in particular, Chiron can show physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and financial wounds, and sometimes a combination of all five. Saturn is going to be, entering the same house, and it's going to be a ways yet. It's going to be the back end of, probably, let's see, I want to show you the animated transits, but again, that's going to stop the video. But, it's going to be a little while yet before Saturn makes up those 22 degrees to sit exactly on his Chiron, but the energetic influence will begin. So McCarthy is entering a very delicate time period where we know he's given away a tremendous amount of power already. Only one person has to protest to potentially throw him out. And also as well, his Saturn here is in the sign of Aquarius in the 10th house. The 10th house deals with the career, our public standing, our reputation, our highest dharma, yeah, our vocation. It's also a very public house as well. I refer to the 10th house as the glass house. What happens when you're in a glass house? Yeah, people sometimes can throw stones. He has not shown himself yet to be worthy of that position, yeah, because of all of the stuff that I've mentioned previously, which we don't need to go over and which we've all seen playing out in the news, yeah. So there is a strong karmic choice here. that McCarthy has to make. And particularly as well, I've just noticed Saturn is in the nakshatra, which is called Shatabishak. And Shatabishak is known as the sign of 100 healers. And the long and short of it is it's known as the Sky Watcher, but it deals with things that are difficult to heal. Shatabishak often deals with addictions, yeah, which can be drug addictions, mental health issues, yeah, and, you know, all kinds of anomalies or maladies, even weird, strange diseases. Most often it's the case, at least with my clients, is that they're normally fine, but they will have addiction in their family. They recognize it instantly. Whenever I see planets in Shatabishak, that can be a very significant indicator. Yeah. So there's that element there, but it can deal with addictions. And again, when I look at it in this, Saturn is a very hardworking planet. He deals with graft, government, yeah. Aquarius, one of the other nicknames for Aquarius is other people's children, deals with the populace. So if you put the hardworking planet or the planet of graft in the 10th house, which deals with the career, in Shatabishak, which can deal with addictions, what does that mean? Yeah. Maybe someone is addicted to their career, their status. Now, when we put all of that together, we can see these fanatical sort of elements there, can't we? So McCarthy is entering a very profound phase in his life. It is his second Saturn return, and this is the most karmic time in his life as well. Because he is the speaker, and he holds such a position of influence, it means whatever he does can also affect what? The whole country of America. Saturn deals with government. He's in the 10th house in his own sign, very powerful and strong. McCarthy is in this position of influence with Chiron there, where he can either heal something or potentially ruin something. You know, this is going to be very interesting. Saturn spends 2.5 years in each sign. And like I said, it starts on the 17th of January officially, but we've already seen the result. Yeah, because Saturn is at 29 degrees and 2 minutes, which means he's right on the tippy tip. He's got his foot on the doorstep of the next sign. Yeah, after this, it's the 30th degree, which is basically, it just goes to zero. Yeah. So we already see this playing out. One thing I anticipate as well with to talk about with Jupiter here in McCarthy's 12th house. Now, this is actually quite a strong placement for Jupiter, but the 12th house, guess what, deals with secrets. Yeah, the positives are faraway lands, travel, spirituality, making pilgrimage, yeah, boats, oceans, long distance travels. Can even deal with even indirect passive income. The shadow is secrets, hidden enemies, maybe not so hidden, yeah, with what we've seen, but there could be more. Hidden enemies can deal with bed pleasures. Obviously that's not a bad thing, but it can also discuss who you get into bed with, yeah. It also can talk as well about foreign entities, yeah, because the 12th house deals with the land far, far away. Jupiter is also a planet of finance. So it looks like here, there could be some financing here from foreign entities for entertainment purposes only. But of course, many of us readers and YouTubers have been reading on this, but this is further evidence because the planet is actually there. Jupiter is there. And it's in that nakshatra of Bharani, which means pressure. So this says to me that there's been a lot of pressure on McCarthy by his benefactors and possibly people abroad and hidden people that we don't know about who he's potentially done secret deals with in order to be in the position that he's in today. The 12th house is also known as a house of self-undoing. Yeah, can deal with self-undoings. It can also deal with endings. Yeah, endings and beginnings. I say the 12th house is like the world card. Yeah, endings and beginnings, beginnings and endings. Can also deal with hospitals and prisons. Yeah. Now, what's going to be interesting is in April this year, with the transits. Let's see. Oh, maybe I shouldn't click. Oh, I wonder if it will let me do it. Let's just see here. Let's go April. Let's go April. Let's do April 20th. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure Jupiter is there by then, 2023, and we'll do calculate. Let's see if that's going to work. Has it worked? Transits. Ooh, it's kind of moved a lot further than I thought. That can't be right. Oh, that's because it's August. Look, here we go. Oh, no, it says 2024. April here, 2023. We want 5th of April. Let's do 20th of April. 20th of April 2023. Let's see if that's going to work. Ah! Oh no, look here. He's not, do you see? Look at this huge stellium though. So on the 20th of April, look, we've got the Sun, Rahu, Moon, Mercury, and Uranus all together in McCarthy's 12th house, which can deal with endings, yeah? Endings. That could be significant. Let's put one more day on that. Let's put the 21st and see if Jupiter moves there as well. See if we can get Jupiter in. No. Let's do 23rd. See if Jupiter moves in by that point. Ah, there we go. So we can see 22nd, 23rd, Jupiter will move in. So all of these planets, Jupiter, Sun, Rahu, Mercury, Uranus, are all going to be in Kevin McCarthy's 12th house, which deals with what? Endings and beginnings. And all of those connotations that I said also deals with prisons and hospitals. So, you know, let's see what happens. But that date in April is going to be very significant for him. Also as well, yes, it's going to be close to that eclipse time as well. So remember, the eclipse is happening on the 20th of April. So this could actually be something very significant that could happen here in regards to Kevin McCarthy and his career and his standing. Let's see what it is. Can't be entirely sure what it will be, but it will have a 12th house theme for sure. And you know what? I think I'll leave it there because I think that's long enough. I may have been going on for an hour. I don't know how long I've been going on for. I hope you found that interesting. That was a little bit of a surprise, a bit of an unexpected, you know, it's supposed to be for the members, but, you know, I'll work it out next time. So members, I will make more videos like this because, of course, I don't have my printer with me, so I can't do all these printing charts and all of that kind of stuff. And I hope you found that interesting. I did have to go at speed, but you see, when we put all of those things together, now you see actually how I read charts. That's how I read charts. Obviously, when I'm working with a person, we go more into their private life and things they want to talk about, career, etc. We didn't look at, for example, his D9, then the Vamsha chart shows the second half of life. It would take too long. But we can, I hope that's given you a good overview. I hope you guys found that interesting. Wasn't how I was planning it, but you know, Mercury retrograde, you just got to go with it. Look, my lighting's all gone funny. My thingy bob is just worn down. It's not quite nearly as bright as it should be, but I hope you found that interesting. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. But wasn't it interesting when we put all of that together? Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there and I'll end the meeting. All right.